Hello everyone, Chris Collins here from the SCSeTools support team. Today we'll be taking a look at the Surface Emission Exceedance Manager, how you can actually manage and track your surface emissions within SCSeTools. So the first thing that we're going to want to do after logging into eTools is make sure that we actually have the right project selected in the top left hand of your screen. We can also select it right here from the dashboard. So I'll go ahead and select the eTools landfill. You'll notice that's what we have at the top left as well. And then we're going over to under the map section to the Exceedance Manager. I'll go ahead and select that. Once we get into the Exceedance Manager, it'll actually pull up a map of the project that we're working on. And what we're going to do here on the left-hand side, we have a list of exceedances as well as any corrective actions. If this has already been entered into the system, then it would be highlighted here. Under the rule type, on the drop-down, we'll go ahead and select that. We'll select the Compliance Federal Regulation. More often than not, this will be the one that you select. If you have a separate SOP rule that is set up for your SEM, however, it will be listed here as well. So just make sure you have the right one selected. Once we select that, we will see a list of our point IDs, so the ID we actually are storing our data against, that currently has an open exceedance. In this example, we only have one grid for this landfill. However, if you are in California, for example, where you have multiple grids, they will actually be listed here as well in their own separate containers. So that means that the data that's all together, just associated with that specific ID, that exceedance is there, will be listed individually with that ID that they're associated with, so for the grid that they're actually in. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'll select the eTools SIM here. That'll expand that section there. And this will list all of the exceedances we have for that point ID, specifically the eTools SEM. So you see there's an instantaneous reading method. This is the data that we've already had uploaded into eTools. There's the record date and time, January the 11th of 2022, as well as what the readings were. Currently it is 194 days open. So I'll go ahead and I'll select that reading then. Once we select that, you'll actually bring up these options here on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, there's actually an arrow pointing exactly to where that reading was based upon the GPS information that was included. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here on the map just to get a better idea of where exactly on the landfill that we recorded this exceedance. For the exceedance itself, again, we have it highlighted here. You'll see that we have it check marked. Now to manage that so it actually shows up on the reports as the 10-day, the 20-day rechecks, what have you, we actually have to manage that a little bit there. So we'll go ahead and we select the one that we have the exceedance with. We'll go ahead and under the initial exceedance, we'll go ahead and select edit. At this point, we can select which exceedance. So you have multiple ones here that will actually be listed. In this case, we only have one, so we'll go ahead and select this one as our initial exceedance in this round. Once we go ahead and we have that selected, there is a reference name and label here at the top. This is, again, you can just reference what tag number it was, for example, that you actually took it, the reading order. Or you could also name, what area of the landfill it was, just something so you can make a reference to what that individual exceedance was. So in the event that there's another one on the other side of the landfill, for example, you know exactly which one it was and won't get it confused with the other. For this example, we'll actually just put in tag 13 as a descriptor. At the bottom, you have the option for any corrective actions that you actually took. So in this case, we'll just go to increased cover. Go ahead and click on save. Once we click save now, it'll drop us back to the list of exceedances. We'll go back to this again and expand it. And you'll see that tag 13, that information we just entered there, actually shows up here. Go ahead and select it again. Once we actually have our 10-day uploaded into the system, we can go back and assign the 10-day reading to that as well. So again, we clicked on our initial exceedance. It shows the area on the right-hand side there. We're going to go ahead and select the 10-day now. And we have another reading, as you can see here, that was uploaded 10 days later. See at the top, this is actually our timetable. So the 10-day is due on January the 20th, and we have a reading here on January the 20th. Once we selected the 10-day, we'll go ahead and click on Edit. Check mark that reading that is associated with that 10-day. And again, we can change any of the references or anything that we need to do here, but this is all of them within that group will be changed if we change the label. Corrective action comments. So again, if there was anything else that we needed to note there, we could do that. You also have the ability to close out the exceedances. So assuming that all of your requirements are actually taken care of and you can go ahead and close that out, you can manually close that reading out from here. To manually close the reading out, we'll just go ahead and just put another comment here for the corrective action. No longer an exceedance. check mark the box here that says close exceedance, and then save that. Ask you, are you sure? Do you want to confirm? Click OK. And that'll go ahead and close that exceedance out, and that'll clear it from the list, as you can see here. There is a corresponding report that goes with the surface emissions information. So if we go back under the compliance section now, under the reports, under the surface emissions section, you'll actually see that there is an exceedance detailed report. Depending on what type of data that you upload, majority of the data that we receive is instantaneous, but if you are out west, for example, there are some states like California that do integrated readings. Just if there's any reason that you need to use that, they are separated in their own separate categories here, just know that. So for this example, we'll be using the instantaneous, so we'll go ahead and select that. Again, we're using the current period. I'm just going to go back and back up since this was the beginning of the year. We'll just do the current year, this year. Again, we'll select our rule. Go ahead and select it, and then we'll create our report. Once we create the report, just like all of our other reports, you'll see the example down below, or you can go ahead and download that into eTools. The report itself, pretty straightforward. It looks very similar to the exceedance tracking report that you're used to with your wells. You'll see a list of the point ID here on the left. Any of the references that we put in there, so there's the tag 13 for the file, what our initial exceedance reading was of 1,000, and you can see where the coordinates and all of that information is there. We increased the cover. This was our initial. That's our 10-day, and where it's green is where it actually went back into compliance, and we can close that out. Obviously, if you have a 20-day, a 1 month, 120, you go through the same process. You don't actually close that exceedance out until that exceedance, everything has already been taken care of, and that exceedance is done. Once you do that, you can print this up in the report, download that into Excel, and then send that off for the reporting.
If you have any questions about this video or any video that we have made in the past, or if you just have general support questions, you can email us at support@SCSeTools.com. Our phone number is 866-612-6820, and our hours of operation is 8 o'clock Eastern Time to 5 o'clock Pacific, Monday through Friday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.